Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adopters in the chat, you get the good stuff and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed a thing. And yet again, I managed to get me the intro out and me on the screen in one smooth move. So that's all really good. I'm not sure whether or not we had issues with notifications and shit, but oh yeah, there's 5 on now. Yeah, we were stuck on 2 for quite a while. It was getting a bit scary. But anyway, let us persevere, move forward. Mr. Budget, with these plagues and massacres you are spoiling us, reminds me a bit of the Ferrero Rocher advertisement. You know, Your Grace, your Emperor, was it? Whenever the big silver tray of Ferrero Rocher came through. But yeah, the history of the British people is that of everything attempting to destroy us and fucking failing. So yeah, we do have a lot of plagues and massacres to talk about, but it all works out in the end. Mr. Packer, what about you, sir? Glad to have you aboard, brother. Anglo-Saxon, evening. And there's arms in as well. What about you? And with that, and 7 people in, we will crack on and do our housekeeping. Now, tomorrow night, Sunday night, really have not got a clue, but I presume Mr. Ragnar Orange Spear will be doing something tomorrow evening. Not sure with whom. I would guess there's going to be guests involved. To be clear, generally speaking, on a Sunday evening, I am with my father because I always do Sunday dinner with my dad, have done for the last 10 years. Hopefully that's not changing anytime soon, but I do tend to not be available for whenever it rises shows on because I sit on with my dad for a little bit. So there you go. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. Now, other shows I'd like to give a shout out to RPW Media, Rich. Oh, right, hold on. Has the audio improved now? I was slouching a bit and possibly a little bit far away from the mic. 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100. Does my mic sound nice? Check 1. How is Finland? Is it chilly there? Right. So anyway, as I was saying, Rich, RPW Media. Yes, this guy here does really good content on all the political ins and outs in America. Has a full media site behind him as well. You'll get a bit crackly, right? Okay. Give me one moment though. I'm going to do a little bit of cable pressing and checking. Right, okay. I took the cables out and put them back in again. Has that improved it? I'm going to have a quick look at my settings. Audio. All right. Yeah, it seems to be on the right mic. Let me know if it has improved. Right. Rich, RPW Media. Right, arms is all good, just relaxing. Hopefully all good. Yeah, it is actually. We're doing okay over here. I'll come on to that in a moment. It's crackly, but you can hear me. Right. Awful morning memory of the very first stream I did, where the audio was a bit crackly, but you could hear me, but it was fucking absolutely atrocious. And I really do not wish to repeat that. Uh, right. Let me know how we're going. Uh, Bass is in from Holland. What about you, Sean? Welcome aboard. And Dawn is in from Down Under. Right. Yes. Anyone know about American politics and generally what's going on in the country? Hook up this boy here, RPW Media. If you haven't already subscribed, but I guess you have, click that link, the wee three buttons, go to the channel and subscribe because you will enjoy his stuff. The other show I like, want to give a shout out to, one momento. Fuck's it, more technical issues and we know what to do with here. The other show I like to give a shout out to is Robin Curry's is Secure, who does a very similar job to what Rich does, only she's in Australia. So with those two connections, you can get both fucking hemispheres and be kept up to date with what's going on. Really a good idea. Robin Curry's is Secure. You'll find her on all sorts of different platforms. And of course, the other show that we give a shout out to here is the one, the only, the Dave Waffle House, the home of the world famous best duck race on the internet. There are many ways you can get ducks. You can get ducks for leaving comments underneath past streams. You can get ducks for interacting during the stream. You can even buy ducks. In fact, not only that, you can indeed, although it pisses them the fuck off because it makes things complicated, you can gift ducks. Be advised, do not be attempting to buy the race because there is a duck limit. And if all of this has made no fucking sense to you whatsoever, tune into the Waffle House on Friday night at 8:30. And behold, the best duck on the internet, and this will all make sense. I think. So there you go. That's all the shout outs. Dave's annoying Waffle House. It can be. The other thing I'm going to give a shout out to is you can expect in the very near future Almac to be gracing this stream, probably Pack as well, possibly Sansom, depending on whether or not the timing's all worked out. YouTube has muted you. Hold on. There's all sorts of madness going on here. Let me just see if I can figure this out. One momento. Right. 1 second. Right. Okay. I've got the. I'm just checking through Bass to see. Boss, I've no idea why YouTube has muted you, because I'm looking through the YouTube version of the chat. I normally read all the chat through StreamYard, but it doesn't necessarily give me all the actions from YouTube. So I've checked it on YouTube, and it's not saying why you were blocked or muted. And I can't see all your comments. Maybe you're not muted as much as you think. It censored you. Yes. Oh, the cunt does that all the time. Type in the wrong word and YouTube will just go, yeah, we're not going to show that. And there's also times where I've been in other people's chat and I've went to post a comment that totally innocuous and it just hasn't, it failed to load. But then whenever I type the exact same thing again, it goes up for some reason the second time around. I think they just have a fucking, the robots have a percentage of comments that not show, and fuck, if you're Jew, you're Jew. I will say that this man here, Mr. Budgie Burger, does the best comments on the internet. And with that, and we're 10 minutes in, I'm going to begin to get into tonight's subject, which is very heavy. As Budgie Burger said at the start, with these plagues and massacres are spoiling us, we do have a lot of adversity to talk about in our history. And sometimes that gets a little bit heavy, and it will tonight. However, I'm going to attempt to use the musical interludes to lighten things up. And in that vein, I came across this little I came across this today on or yesterday on Facebook. One second. Can I full screen this? No, can't. Right, okay, we're going to have to make do with this. But right, Northern Ireland, whose fans are known as the Green and White Army, were playing a little football match the other day. We were away we were away to Luxembourg, and we beat them 3-1. It was fucking excellent. But prior to the match or after the match, the Northern Ireland fans, the Green White Army, were indeed in a pub, as one would expect. And what came past that pub was one of these big fucking leftist marches for Palestine, and it got quite the reaction. I'm going to let this play now. Check this out.
Secure Palestine! Secure Palestine of your own! We can secure Palestine of your own! You can secure Palestine of your own! You can secure Palestine! Secure Palestine! Secure Palestine of your own! Secure Palestine! Secure Palestine of your own! You can secure Palestine of your own! You can secure Palestine of your own! You can secure Palestine! Secure Palestine! Secure Palestine of your own!
Right, and from that you can tell that this aversion to all those leftist wankers that run about with their Palestine flags is not limited to me in this part of the world. It's a universal thought, and we get quite vocal about it. Quite interestingly, none of those people decided that they wanted to have an argument with the people singing at them, which I'm not surprised about. But anyway, we shall begin to get into our content for tonight, and just figure out which order I want to put this in. All right, 1 second. I'm just getting the links up. Yep, we're going to start with a newspaper article that looks back on. Oh no, there's no fucking about. You're not long getting your category. This will give you a quick overview of it. It's a newspaper article from the Belfast Telegraph, looking back on it, and it gives a little bit of a personal account of what happened. It's really hard for me to be 100% sure which order to try and do this in. So this is what I've went with. I've got a couple of stories about it, and we'll move on to some other related stuff. So we'll go here. And I want to check StreamYard and see. I think we will get this a little bit larger. All right. That all looks good. Okay. Orange man tells us sitting at the table where his grandfather was killed 50 years ago. It's poignant for me. So this is obviously a article looking back on it, which gives a brief overview. Getting the full details of this attack, this murderous attack, the only place I found a really good one is in a book called Border Clearings. I'm hoping to get the author of that on to talk about some of this shit and whatnot, but here we go. An Irishman had told of the poignancy of attending meetings sitting in the same chair at the same table where his grandfather was murdered 50 years ago. Alistair Cook said it was important for people not to forget the Tullyvallen Massacare, where IRA men shot dead 5 Orange Order members close to Newton Hamilton in South Armagh on the night of September the 1st, 1975. We have a Remembrance Act on the 1st of September every year. It's marked as Orange Victims Day, and the reason why it was chosen as that day was because this is the largest single loss of life in one encounter by the Orange Order. Gunmen burst into the isolated Tullyvallen Orange Hall during a meeting of Tullyvallen Guiding Star Temperance LOL 630, that's Loyal Orange Lodge, and opened fire, murdering John Johnson, 80 years old, 73-year-old James McKee, and his son Ronnie McKee, who was 40, Neville McConville, who was 48, and William Hearn, 68. William Hearn didn't die at the scene. He died a couple of days later from the wounds he sustained. 6 other men were injured in the attack. There were 17 men at that lodge meeting at the time. What's not mentioned in any of these articles is that one of the members was a member of the security forces and had a personal protection weapon and returned fire with his pistol against the multiple automatic rifles. And that was enough to get them to move on. They obviously only wanted to murder defenseless people. And that's the reason why we had 5 people murdered as opposed to 17. A 2-pound bomb was also left outside the hall. It was defused by the army. The plan was for them to explode the bomb as they were leaving and other people were trying to escape. One momento, I need to cough. I also want to check the comments. Right, okay, we've got sound issues again. Oh, fuck. Right. Where am I? I'm here. This is all my. I hope the sound has restored. A memorial plaque in the hall remembers the 5 victims, as well as fellow Lodge member William Meakin, who was murdered 2 weeks before the attack, and Joseph McCulloch, who was murdered 5 months after. Yeah. This was not an isolated incident. This is part of an orchestrated campaign of ethnic cleansing. The Orange Order marks Orange Victims' Day on September the 1st, when it remembers all 344 members who were murdered during the Troubles. They were not killed; they were murdered. The Tullyvallen attack was the largest loss of life suffered by the Order in a single attack. Mr. Cook is the worshipful master of LOL 630 in Tullyvallen. His grandfather, James McKay, occupied the same role when he was killed in the 1975 attack. Now, I want you to take a moment or two and think about this. Sounds good. And we are graced with the wonderful, super sexy Emma G. Love you too, Emma. Love you more. Bit jumpy. We will have to persevere. Yeah, I want you to take a moment to think about this. How these Orange Lodges work. And you're going to see some video of it later, of parades and stuff. And the bit that you see publicly is these out on the streets, marching down the street with a band in front of them. However, there's a lot more goes into that, and involves monthly meetings to keep everything organized, organize their lectures, organize their events and whatnot, and these take place in these Orange Halls. So it means for the last 50 years, these men have been turning up month after month in the hall that was broken into, because they kicked the door down. They locked the doors whenever they went inside, but they managed to get through that. I believe the man with his personal protection got them stopped at the second door. There you go. So they've had to come back and do all their business in this same hall, and they kept the same tables and chairs, and the table that he sits at has bullet marks on it because it was used as a makeshift barrier to try to hide behind on the night in question. Mr. Cook joined with survivors of the attack, Barry Rainey and John Henry, at the Orange Hall to remember those who had lost their lives. He said, "We mark the 50th anniversary of the attack in this hall by terrorists, when 5 members of this lodge were murdered. Our memorial plaque has 7 names on it. Brother William Meakin was murdered just 2 weeks prior, on the 1st of September, and brother Joseph McCulloch was murdered about 5 months later, just a stone's throw from the hall." By the way, just as an aside, in the Orange Orders, everyone has the same rank as brother. It's a brotherhood. Everybody's on the same rank as brother. Some people may have different job titles, such as master, treasurer, secretary, or whatnot, but that is a job title. It's not a rank, and everyone is of equal rank and can have equal say, provided they follow the correct protocols. He said, "It was a totally routine lodge meeting, as happened every month. That night, the lodge had opened and was conducting its business as usual, when the back door was kicked in and 2 gunmen entered and immediately opened fire instantaneously on the men sitting around the table in the middle of the hall." So you have the table in the middle of the hall, you've got people sitting around it, they're having a meeting, looks like any other board meeting, apart from people arrive with automatic weapons and start murdering you. Another gunman fired through the window at the men inside. He added, "My grandfather, James McKee, was worshipful master of the lodge at the time, and he was murdered sitting at the chair at the top of the table." Uh, they would have, by the setup of the table, they would have knew who was at the head of it, and that obviously drew their fire. It is a position I now occupy within the lodge as worshipful master, and it is particularly poignant for me to come to meetings here and sit in the same chair at the same table that he sat at when he was murdered. I'm sure it is. I'm sure that this is. This brings to mind the sash my father wore, and his is actually bloodstained. We will come to something a little bit more happier about that shortly, but here we go. Mr. Cook said the memorial service is held every year. He said this marks the 50th anniversary. It is important to continue these services because it gives a degree of support to those who were impacted directly by the attack. It shows the community cares and the community supports them, and the truth about their loved ones is being told. Kenny Donaldson, the director of South East Fermanagh Foundation Victims Organisation, said he also has a family connection to the attack. He said, "My late granny's first cousin, John Johnson, was the eldest of the victims. While our Unionist Loyalist community in Northern Ireland tends to be quite close, those in the border regions are very close. And it's not at this stage where everybody, we're not all related and they're married, but it does become at some state a very large extended family, and therefore the grief is felt a bit more closely within the whole community. They all have links together, particularly in the rural areas. Even if they're not family, they're doing a lot of assisting each other with farming and all sorts of stuff like that. John was a retired farmer from Clocko, just outside Crossmaglen, where my family continue to live to this day. Mrs. Donaldson added, "For years I attended a youth club in Tullyvallen Orange Hall with my brothers, not fully appreciating the happenings within the hall. We don't tend to tell our children all of the bad things that happened. The Nationalists do. And maybe we have kept a little bit too quiet about the realities of what happened. There's a very fine line between indoctrinating your children and telling them the truth and the reality. So I need to check the comments." Oh yeah, there is indeed. Very good. Excellent work, Anglo. Excellent work. All right. Sorry, I'm going to start this again. For years, I attended the youth club in Tullyvallen Orange Hall with my brothers, not fully appreciating the happenings within the hall, being ignorant of the fact the table was used to support monitors. Being ignorant of the fact that the table which was used to support monitors for computer games was a lodge table which carried significant scorch damage from bullets which struck it on that fateful night of the attack. It is accepted that the stability of the table may in part have helped save lives and additional physical injuries for some of the survivors. They tipped the table as part of a barricade. The Orange Order will mark Victims' Day on Monday. Leaders will attend acts of remembrance for all victims in Loughgall and County Armagh in the morning, and a service of remembrance will take place at Tullyvallen Orange Hall in the evening with a moment's silence at 9:30, the time of the attack. On Tuesday, an exhibition entitled Moving Tributes will open in the Apprentice Boys Memorial Hall in Londonderry, featuring more than 60 banners and lambic drums during the portraits of murdered members. So that's a quick overview of what happened in Tullyvallen. As I said, this is all a little bit heavy, and we're going to break it up with musical interludes. And our first one is going to be here. I found this. Where am I? Yeah. Oh, it's bad whenever you start looking for your link in the wrong place. I know where this link is. Sorry. Right. Here we go. We're almost there for our musical interlude. One momento. Right, here we go. Oh, there's a cracker. Well, as you've heard, the attacks like these, that's an attempt to silence our culture. And this link is going to show you how well that's going. This is a video from the 12th of July in 2014 in Belfast. 1 second, I'll just get this up. Sorry, I will just get this on the screen. We'll take this out. Couple of things to pay attention to. This silver car in the middle has got its boot open. That's going to become significant whenever we start playing this. For the record, there is a ruling in Orange parades that bands are only allowed to have one bass drum at a time. The other thing about these parades is where along the route you choose to stand and watch the parade dictates the experience you've got. There's DN. DN, what about you, chum? Where you choose to watch this is it's going to affect how you experience it. There are parts that are very quiet and would be like sitting in the top tier of the stands of a pop concert, but this bit here is the mosh pit. Yeah, this is the equivalent of the mosh pit in a concert. You've got Benedict's, well, also known as Benedict's, the pub, on your left-hand side. Laverty's on your right-hand side. If you're ever in Belfast and Northern Ireland are playing a away football match, get yourself into Laverty's. The atmosphere is fucking epic. Similar to what you heard with the Palestine thing. It's all really good. This band coming along is the Shankill Crossing Boys, and they're getting ready to come through the rowdy bit and have a fucking party. So check this out. And the other thing is, look out for the two guys with with the sticks. One of them is called Tricks, and this is a bit of peak Tricks from 2014. Check it out and enjoy. And let me know if you think the attempts to cancel our culture are working. There you go. There's a wee bit of the Shankill Crossing boys singing the sash, and the end line that verse. Break that down for you. Sure, it's all, but it is beautiful. It's talking about the sash of the collarette, but its colours there are grand. It was worn in Derry, Aughrim, Enniskillen, and the Boyne. Those are the four Williamite battles in Ireland. Londonderry's the siege of Derry. Aughrim was the final battle. Enniskillen, there were long-running battles around the city of Enniskillen, where the Protestant defenders actually came out from behind their castle and chased them back in the fields around Enniskillen. And obviously the Boyne, which is the famous one. It's all so Enniskillen and the Boyne. Sure, my father wore it as a youth in the bygone days of yore. He's talking about his father having previously wore this sash or collarette. And it's on the 12th. I love to wear the sash my father wore, which brings us back to that guy who is now the master of the lodge where his father was murdered. And he's taken over that job. So there's that. But anyway, despite all of our troubles, we do still have a bloody good party. Now, where to next? Right, I think I want to give a little bit more detail on Tullyvallen. Hold on. Why is Apple News there? Right, here is a little more detailed. Oh, the crack about Billy Blogs, very good. Right. This is from a blog I've just recently found. Sage Dispatches, Tales from Within the Dark Forest is what it's called. But anyway, I'm going to go through this. It perhaps says something about the scale of violence during the so-called Troubles in Northern Ireland that an event such as the Tullyvallen Massacre doesn't stand out as much as one would expect. It could also be argued that terrorists and their political apologists have been very successful in distracting attention away from their atrocities. Terrorists are particularly motivated to lie, distract, and when the reality of their terrorism is in stark contrast to the myth that they have fabricated and disseminated via the media. One terrorist myth is the Provisional IRA was not sectarian, and the Provisional Irish Republican Army members were only involved in isolated instances of sectarianism. The truth, however, is very different. As of today, 1st of September 2022, this blog's 2 years old, the anniversary of the sectarian atrocity of Tullyvallen in County Antrim, I thought it would be appropriate to remember the events in Tullyvallen and those who were murdered by the South Armagh Provisional Irish Republican Army. I'm going to skip that a little bit. 17 members of the Tullyvallen Orange Hall were having a regular monthly meeting when 2 members of South Armagh Provisional Irish Republican Army entered the Orange Hall and opened fire with automatic weapons, whilst the third terrorist fired through a window. 5 people were murdered, 4 dying at the scene, and the 5th 2 days later. The one person convicted was imprisoned in relation to the attack, said that he had been told there was a job shooting Protestants. The 5 murder victims were James McConville, 40 years old, livestock market manager. Nevin was shot 6 times in the back. He died as the doctor attended his wounds. John Johnson, 80 years old, a retired farmer. James McKee, 70 years old, and his son Ronnie McKee, who was 40 years old. William Hearn, 68 years old, died 2 days later in hospital. And getting the feeling that the older members of this lodge tried to get between themselves and the weapons and the younger members. Whilst an ambulance crew was taking dead and injured from the hall, they noticed a metal box outside. The terrorists had left a bomb containing 2 pounds of explosives. Although the attack was claimed by a group calling itself the South Armagh Republican Action Force, it was actually the South Armagh Provisional Irish Republican Army, using a cover name. This was because this occurred during a Provisional Irish Republican Army ceasefire. They had said they'd stop this shit. Weapons used in the Tullyvallen attack were used 4 months later in the murder of 10 Protestant workmen in the Kingsmill Massacre. I have covered the Kingsmill Massacre before. I hadn't realised that these both occurred in the same year. But yeah, for those of you who are not aware, what happened at Kingsmill was there was workmen going home in a minibus. They stopped the minibus. They ordered the Protestants and Catholics separated. They sent the Catholic on his way, and they murdered the Protestants. And there was nobody in that van had any link to security forces, to Unionist provisional paramilitaries, or anything else. That was just an easy way for them to get hold of a bunch of Protestants. And a couple of Catholics who worked in that factory took the day off that day. Strange. Which was also claimed by the same group. It was also the same terrorist gang that 2 weeks earlier had abducted, tortured, and murdered William Meakin. I'm not 100% sure, but I think William Meakin is the body who was left naked in a field outside Crossmaglen with explosives and booby traps attached to his body and mines all over the fields, so that it took quite the while for anyone to recover the naked, tortured body. This is what the Irish do. It is believed that one of the terrorists involved in the Kingsmill Massacre was Provisional Irish Republican Army member Raymond McKeish, who later died in 1981 during the hunger strikes at the Maze prison. So one of these people was a hunger striker. It would not be surprising if McLeish had also been involved in the other 2 sectarian attacks. These people work in pods and groups, and you find where one of them is involved, the rest of that pod has been involved in everything else that they've done at some level. Despite McLeish's role in one or more sectarian atrocities, he is now considered a martyr because he decided not to eat, and eulogised by Provisional Irish Republican Army and its political wing, Sinn Féin. As with Brendan McFarlane's involvement in the Bardo Bar bombing, Brendan McFarlane is another hunger striker who is put out as being a really great person. He was involved in the Bardo bomb, where they exploded a bomb in a pub on the Shankill Road, murdering, I believe it was 5 people that night. McCree's role in the sectarian terrorist attack didn't lead to his dismissal or reprimand by Provisional Irish Republican Army. What does this say about the Provisional Irish Republican Army leadership and its supposed non-sectarian ideology? Like, they just want to kill British people. That's, I don't know. I believe that may be racist. And with that, I want to quickly check the comments. Yeah, that was a red van. Oh, they are. They 100% are. Oh, Oh, Billy, Anglo knows all about it. Anglo is one of our brothers in England that actually knows and understands most of this stuff. Anglo. Mm, I wish it was more like him. There's a children's play park in Newry named after McLeish, which unsurprisingly attracted criticism from unionists. Yeah, how's that? You're worried about the wrong type of people being in your play parks. We've got play parks that are remembering murderers and that the children are all supposed to look up to. That's how fucked up this place is. Sinn Féin politicians, including Martina Anderson, Martina Anderson, elected for Sinn Féin, who is herself a convicted terrorist, plotted to detonate bombs in London and English seaside resorts. She couldn't see a problem with the park being named in honour of someone widely believed to be a sectarian bigot and mass murderer, because why wouldn't you name a fucking children's play park after somebody like that? But then, of course, Provisional Irish Republican Army would have you believe they were not involved in these atrocities. They use cover names like South Armagh Action Group, the Continuity Irish Republican Army, the I can't believe it's not the IRA, whatever, but they all use the weapons caches that came from the Provisional Irish Republican Army, and they all turn out to be previous members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army. And in this case, I believe it's just the fucking Provisional Irish Republican Army. Calm. Despite the fact that weapons used in the Tullyvallen Massacare have links forensically to Kingsmill Massacre and numerous other murders and attacks involving Provisional Irish Republican Army terrorists, Provisional Irish Republican Army, Sinn Féin, are still in the ludicrous position of denying the Provisional Irish Republican Army was responsible. This typical act of honesty and transparency is why we should be highly sceptical of Provisional Irish Republican Army statements regarding their activities, including their supposed motivation for their attacks. And what follows is mostly links. Hold on, let's see. Oh, we're going to jump to William Meekin. William Meekin was a 28-year-old Protestant. He was married and a grocer with a shop in Newton Hamilton in South Armagh. William was also a former member of the Royal Ulster Constabulary Reserve, so he was a reserve policeman officer. On the 14th of August 1974, William was abducted by the South Armagh Provisional Irish Republican Army whilst he was delivering groceries. William's body was found the following day. That's not the same one, because the guy who had all the explosive attached to him, he didn't turn up for 3 days. And yes, it does say something about it. Whenever people that get abducted and turn up dead, there's the quantity that you can't be exactly which one is which. That really shouldn't be a thing. Prior to his murder, the Provisional Irish Republican Army had tortured William Meekin. Years later, a Republican informed the Sunday Times newsletter that William had been given an awful death to try and make him talk. Provisional Irish Republican Army falsely accused William Meekin of spying for the British Army. This was simply one variant of a frequently used ploy by the Provisional Irish Republican Army. Everybody that we got really deserved it. They were bad. Fuck away off, you bunch of murdering scum. Breathe. The terrorists would make false accusations such as their victims being an informer or perhaps member of the informer one was normally for people within the Catholic community. If somebody within the Catholic community got on the wrong side of particularly people at the top end of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, that suddenly be attacked and disappear. We're still looking for some of the bodies, by the way. There was a dig in a bog in the Irish Republic last week. They're trying to find one of these bodies that has been This better not be fucking muted. Oh, fuck, no, it's a bit of advice from a William, from a Billy. Right, okay. Thank you. I'll check the comments. Right. Or perhaps a member of a loyalist terror group in order to try and justify their actions and also conceal a sectarian motivation. If terrorists didn't feel that such a lie was plausible, they would either deny involvement in an attack or use a cover name. And there you go. That is Tullyvallen, and that's Tullyvallen covered. We need a musical interlude, and our musical interludes are going to be a little bit noisy tonight. Again, these musical interludes will have a little bit of thing, because you'll find out that it doesn't matter about the intimidation, the murder, all of that. Our culture is going fucking nowhere. With your occupation, Anglo. Yeah. They do indeed. But like I say, we're still here. We're still kicking. And check out this little tune. It's called the Bold Orange. Sorry, this is called the Bold Orange Heroes of Cumber. And get this shirt up at the stage.
As we march up and down on the roads of Toledo, our drums they will clatter like the thunder, and as the day draws near, the police beat in hearts and fear. We're the bold of heroes of Cumber. In Dublin there's a man, and he says he has a plan. He has 10,000 men or more, they say, but then we need not mind further of a favorite flight. We're the bold of heroes of Cumber. As we march up and down on the roads of Toledo, our drums they will gather like the thunder, and as the day draws near, we'll play speaking heart with fear. We're the bold of heroes of Cumber. In Cumber there's a man, like his name is Strong. He lives on the outskirts of Cumber. He says they will come, these niggas come through warming drum. The bold of heroes of Cumber. As we march up and down on the roads of Toledo, our drums they will clatter like the thunder, and as the day draws near, we'll play speaking heart with fear. The bold of heroes of Cumber. Then up comes a cook with the shovel on his coat, and he says, boys, go no farther. We'll tighten up the rope and we'll stretch King Billy's throat, and it never cross the white wall. As we march up and down on the roads of Toledo, our drums they will clatter like the thunder, and as the day draws near, we'll play speaking heart with fear. We're the bold of heroes of Cumber.
There we go. That was the Bold Orange Heroes of Cumber. Here we go. And with another couple of things. What are we like? We're coming up on an hour. One memento. Right. Next couple of links are going to be quick. Right. I'm going to run through these quite quickly. These are all different events, by the way. So Share screen. This is what life's like whenever you are genuinely under attack. So here we go. In no particular order. Condemnation as vandals damaged South Armagh Orange Hall during attempted break-in. Damage was caused to South Armagh Orange Hall as vandals attempted to break into the premises on Monday night. An attempt was made to force open the doors of Tullyvallen Orange Hall. Tullyvallen is down about the border with Ireland. Nurian Armagh DUP MLA William Irving head out at those responsible. I unreservedly condemn the attack and understand from chatting to lodge members that vandalism was caused to the exterior of the hall and attempt made to force open the doors, explained Mr. Irwin. This type of mindless criminality is not wanted and shows there are those in our society who have a hatred of our orange culture. The blathering of Tullyvallen Orange Hall will not be intimidated by this activity. I would urge anyone who witnessed with any suspicious activity around the hall to come forward and assist the police service in Northern Ireland with their inquiries. Sinn Féin councillor Rosalind McGrew, with her crocodile fucking tears, also condemned what she described as a sectarian attack on the hall. I unreservedly complain the reprehensive attack on the Orange Hall. Those responsible represent nobody and have nothing to offer. Well, do you know what? Go into your office and talk to your fucking representatives because they know exactly who fucking did it. I would appeal to anyone with information about those responsible for this sectarian attack of vandalism to report at the PSNI. And then our nutting squad will shoot you in the fucking legs, if you're lucky. Market Hill District number 10 said the damage will be fixed and it will lead the brethren in the area to further their orange heritage. Revealing details on social media, the Market Hill District said in the late hours of the night earlier morning, there was an attempt to break into Tullyvallen Orange Hall. Basically what they did was they tried to force the doors. Had they got in, they would have burnt the place to the hall, but burnt the place to the ground, but they didn't quite manage that. Okay, next link. I'm going through these in no fucking order, by the way. Just Ballycastle Chronicle, Orange Hall attacked and sectarian hate crime hours before village hosts 12th parade. And this is from Saturday, 12th of July, 2025. This was this year. This is during the time whenever we are told that the British and the Irish in Ireland are all friends again. Jim Alistair has vowed that those parading in today's 12th parade in Rasharkham will not be deterred by the attack on the Orange Hall. Just hours before the village was due to host the annual 12th parade, paint was thrown and graffiti daubed on the walls and the hall of the village of Rasharkham. Police are treating the incident as one sectarian hate crime. A total of 43 lodges and 30 bands and land-bag drums drawn from 5 local districts will be on parade. What happens is on the 12th of July, all the local districts from any area come together and create one large parade. So that's what that's about. Local MP Jim Alistair said those parading will not be deterred by the attack. We never have been. The year, I'm not sure if it was 1972 or 1973, but there was 4 suspected bombs planted along the 12th parade, and we still paraded, but we said nobody under 16. So all the string boys and the cymbal boys and all that, they didn't get to go that year because we were a bit worried about them getting blown up. Everybody over 16 had to fend for themselves because we cannot bow to terrorism. He said there should have been a greater police presence in the village. The PSNI, blah, blah, blah. Right, so that's an attack with paint and stuff. We'll take that off. And yeah, supposedly. Right, let's see. What else do I have? Oh, yeah, here we go. Share screen, share screen. These will get repetitive. Tullyvallen Orange Hall gutted in arson attack. Oh, there's a picture of it. An Orange Hall in County Armagh has been extensively damaged in an attack and police are treating it as arson. The interior of Tullyvallen Orange Hall was gutted and the roof of the building collapsed during the blaze. A police spokesman said they received the report that the building on Conigal Road, Loughgall, was on fire about 23:50 British Standard Time on Thursday. A senior Orange man said the institution was devastated by the attack on the hall. The other problem is inside these halls is where you would store your banners and stuff like that. So there's stuff that genuinely is not replaceable. Ancient relics and antique relics that you can't get back if it's burnt. Like the 300-year-old flag that was stolen off Londonderry Cathedral the other week and burnt on a bonfire. Did I have that up and shown? Did I? Did I do that without it up shown? Right, there is a little picture of what was left of the Orange Hall. A senior Orange man said the institution was devastated by the attack. Drew Nansen, Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland's Grand Secretary, said the hall would be rebuilt, probably bigger and better than it was before. Clearly, there are still some of Northern Ireland society who are prepared to use violence to attack the Orange institution. We as an institution would not wish any community to suffer from such violence, having sustained so many attacks on our properties over the years. He also called the claim that there should be. He also called for calm and said there should be no retaliation whatsoever. Not sure I agree. Not sure. I think we might be past that. So that's another. Just want to check the date of that. That was in 2015. That Orange Hall has indeed been rebuilt and put back together again. And what I'm going to go to next is a statement. Oh, fuck, yeah. This is all happening during the much fabled peace process, which has not actually delivered anything remotely resembling peace. But given who we're dealing with, why would we expect anything different? I'm going to finish this with a statement by the Orange Order. About yeah, I'll do. Share screen. Okay, this is from the Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland, and this is about the Ballyconker Orange Hall destroyed in arson attack. This is from October 2022. Yeah, a couple of years ago, whenever we're all supposed to be getting on. Strange that. So, the arson attack on Ballyconker Orange Hall near Magherafelt on Sunday, the 30th of October, is the last in a long line of such incidents against the Orange community in recent years. The incident is not just The incident is not just an attack on bricks and mortar, rather a predetermined attack on Orange culture and heritage in South Londonderry, a tradition which has been rooted in this area for over 200 years. Unfortunately, with over 550 attacks on our properties since the Belfast Agreement, 550 attacks in the peacetime. Are you sure it's peace? Because I'm not. It is clear that militant Republicans need no excuse to attack Orange Halls. Their actions are encouraged and their rhetoric reinforced by bigoted commentators, cartoonists, newspapers, and academics who continually demonize the Orange family. The Orange community in this area will not be intimidated by the actions of those who are determined to raise tension and cause community division. We would, however, appeal that there should be no retaliation, since such response would be wrong and entirely counterproductive. This despicable act is being rightly treated as a hate crime by the PSNI and must be condemned by all. So that's Ballinger Orange Hall. What can I say? It's almost like they don't like it. Away and shite then. Mark Sheldon makes a very good point. By the way, in September, Soldier F is up in court in Belfast. Please, please, please pester anybody to get eyes on that court case. Please, because this persecution, this guy's living in fucking Chelsea barracks as a invalid Chelsea pensioner, and they're fucking dragging him through the courts for fuck all. And had he been a Irish Republican terrorist, he would have a fucking pardon. But because he's a British soldier, he's being dragged through the courts, and it is absolutely disgusting. And with that, I think we need a light-hearted music interlude before we go any further. With the next bit of madness, what will we have? Yeah, we're going to have this. Yeah. Johnny Lever's coming up. We will have that. And then we will move on with the rest of tonight's and I need to chill a little bit as well. So here we go. Oh, press the wrong button. Share screen, share screen. Well, that didn't work. Works better if I actually put it on the screen. Right.
Oh, the work was hard and the wages low. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. I guess it's time for us to go, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, tomorrow you will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. All the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The winds blew foul and the seas run high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. We shipped 'em green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The mate was a bucko and the old man a Turk. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. And the boatswain was a beggar with a middle name of work, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. All the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The old man swears and the mate swears too. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. The crew all swear, and so would you, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. All the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The starboard pump is like the crew. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. It's all worn out and will not do, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. All the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. The rats have gone and we the crew. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. It's time, be damned, that we went to, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Well, I pray that we shall ne'er more see. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. A hungry ship, the likes of she, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
There we go. That was Johnny Collins, Leave Her, Johnny, Leave Her. And you would think this song that long, I would have been fucking ready whenever it ended, but I was not. Sorry, still taking on liquid. And we're going to move on to our next segment. I was going to do a little bit about the 1950s border campaign, but judging by the time, I think I'm going to skip that and go straight to something slightly different. One memento while I get this on the screen. I put this on the screen and move this up a little and see do we need to increase the size. Yeah, we're going to zoom that in a little. Right, okay, here we go. Where was first bombed in England during World War II? Give you a clue. It was not London. Check this out. I'm pretty sure most of you haven't heard this story. So we will see. Coventry IRA bombing, the forgotten attack on a British city. So here's an image of what happened. On the 25th of August, 1939, 5 people died and 70 are injured when an IRA bomb exploded in Coventry city centre. Yet 75 years after the explosion, the devastating attack has been all but forgotten. That would probably have been deliberately. And put a no in the chat somewhere along the line as this unfolds and let me know if you, or a yes, on whether or not you've heard about this. It's easy to picture Estelle Anvil weaving her way through Coventry crowds and footsteps, buoyant, her future full of promise. Ellie, 21, a shop assistant for Millis, was due to be married in a fortnight's time to Harry Davis, a local man. Friday was market day in Coventry and Broadgate, and the main shopping street thronged with shoppers and workers. Ellie paused just for a second to gaze into a jewellery shop window. She was looking at rings. In that second, the hands of an alarm clock placed in a carrier basket of a bicycle which was resting on the curb behind Elsa. You will also know that Oxford was bombed by the IRA with a bicycle. In that case, the explosives were shoved into the tube. Moved to 1432 British Standard Time, and a £5, that's 2.3 kilogram bomb exploded, shattering the shop windows and lives. For some time, Broadgate resembled a miniature battlefield, the Midlands Telegraph reported. Elsie was killed instantly. The young girl, whose life had seemed destined for such happiness, was identifiable only by her engagement ring. She was later buried in the church where she was due to be a bride, one of 5 victims of the explosion. We will actually play this video.
So yeah, Rex was or would have been your uncle.
Yes, my father's twin brother, identical twin.
Identical twins.
Even my mum couldn't tell the difference.
And they grew up in Newtown in Wales.
Yes.
And how did Rex come to be in Coventry?
Right. He was working for W.H. Smith and started off in Newtown. And with career prospects, they were sending him to different branches to get experience. And he'd gone to Coventry for 2 weeks as a relief assistant, and just happened to be there at the wrong time.
So he was walking through the city centre?
Walking through the city centre with John Arnott, who was also working for W.H. Smith, and with whose mother Rex was lodging. And in order to make it easier on John's mother, he took his dinner hour. It was either an hour early or an hour later than usual, so that it would make it easy on John's mother to provide them with lunch. They had lunch and they were walking back when the bomb went off.
And how did your father get to hear about it?
He was working in London House, and for some unknown reason, which no one can still fathom out, he had the most horrendous headache. My mother always said it was so bad that he thought he was dying. They'd heard there was a bombing gone off in Coventry, but didn't think anything, until the manager of W.H. Smith came to the shop where my father was working and said he'd heard that Rex had been involved in the bombing, and the parents were elderly and not in good health. So my father and my mother decided they'd go. And the manager of the shop where my father was working took them to Shrewsbury in his car. And then from Shrewsbury to Coventry, they went by train. And either in the car or on the train, I'm not quite sure which, my father turned round to my mother and said, "He's gone." And my mother said, "You don't know that." And he said, "I do. He's gone." And my mother always says she had looked at her watch. And when they got to the hospital, they were told that he died at, I think it was 6:30. And that was when my father knew his brother had died. And I think that shows you that twins do have something extra special between them.
And how did it affect your father afterwards?
My father never spoke about it, but my mother made sure that we all knew what had happened and the story of it. Not in any angry way at all, but it was important that Rex was never forgotten, and therefore, she told us all about it. And I tell my daughters, and my daughters tell their children, so it carries on.
And what would you like to see happen in Coventry? Because there isn't a memorial.
There's
or anything.
nothing. I would like something, whether it could be a plaque somewhere, just to say that these 5 people did suffer some, did have a tragic ending or whatever. I'm not too bothered about it saying they were murdered by the IRA. To me, that's in the past. But it seems wrong that there's nothing to commemorate what happened that day, because it did destroy lives, and the lives of the families who belonged to them.
The reason why there's nothing to commemorate it is because they don't want to tarnish the Irish. But there you go. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, said Marie Jones from Alexander, the niece of one of the victims, Rex Gent. Rex, 30, was an identical twin from Northampton, Wales. Like Elsie, Rex was engaged. He planned to marry a girl called May from his hometown. He was doing holiday relief work at W.H. Smith and had only been in Coventry for a fortnight. He loved to laugh and a joke and was known for his willingness to help other people. Police investigations revealed that the bomb had been planted by the Irish Republican Army as part of what is now largely forgotten campaign of attacks on English cities, known as the S Plan. Dr. David Donoghue, who has written a book, The Devil's Deal, about the campaign, said the S stood for sabotage. The campaign started in 1939 and petered out in March 1940. The official objective was to force a British withdrawal from Northern Ireland. However, Dr. Donoghue believes that the real motivation was to put on a public display to the Nazi Germans about the IRA's capabilities. The Coventry bombing took place just 9 days before the outbreak of World War II, and the IRA attacks on cities including Birmingham, Manchester, Oxford, Liverpool, and London continued until March 1940. This predated the discovery of concentration camps and other Nazi horrors. Yeah, this is the Irish trying to get out and saying we didn't realise the Nazis were bad whenever we decided to work with them. Dr. O'Donoghue says the IRA would have done a deal with the devil to get a united Ireland. Yes, more mitigation. You fucking forced us to blow yous up. 5 people died in the explosion. Elsie Arnold, 21, who was walking back from her lunch break. John Arnott, 15. A 15-year-old. Was the youngest victim. He worked for W.H. Smith since leaving school. What age did he leave school at? Newspaper reports described him as a curly-haired lad who wore glasses and must have served thousands of Coventry people with their papers and magazines. He was just full of life and well thought of by everyone that met him. He said Janet Bent, his niece. Rex Gentle, that's the guy we talked about earlier. James Clay, 82, was a widower and grandfather. Newspapers said he was well known to the older generation of Coventry people and possessed a physical and mental energy of a man 20 years younger. A former printer, Mr. Clay was described as a deep reader and great raconteur and a lover of Coventry, where he was born. He was a former president of the Coventry and District Cooperative Society, who described him as a Peter Pan of the Midlands. He had been having lunch with a friend in a nearby cafe, but had left earlier than usual, saying he felt unwell. The newspaper's report said it was the first time in 6 years Mr. Clay and his friend had not left together. Fuck me. Sometimes routines. Like, the nature of what these cunts do is they plant the bomb and they walk away from it, and they have no clue who the fuck it's going to get, just whoever happens to be walking past it at that time. But apparently it's not their fault and they had no other choice. Grim Mullins, 50, known as Bill, was a road sweeper who was working on pavement outside the shop where the bomb exploded. He was identified a few hours later in the mortuary by his wife, Marianne. There's a picture of the bicycle that had the bomb in it. Ted Cross, 992, was the first ambulance driver in the scene. The glass had been sucked out of all the windows and there were a great many casualties, he said. The first gentleman I reached had terrible stomach injuries. I think the hub of the bike had blown into him. We took him to hospital, but unfortunately he died shortly afterwards. This is the first responder. Passerby Robert Clance was thrown to the ground in the explosion. I could see that there was a terrible damage done, he said. There were a lot of people lying about on the ground. The first person I went to was, I believe, old James Cray, whom I picked up. I could see from his injuries that he was almost dead. About 70 people were injured, some of them seriously. Sheila Howe's friend from school, Muriel Tittles, 14, had an operation to remove a piece of steel implanted in her leg. She never walked again without a limp, never got to dance properly. It was an awful thing for her. She died when she was in her early 80s, but the experience cast a dark shadow over the rest of her life. I'm sure it did. So what about the people that did it? The man who claimed to have planted the bomb, Jobby O'Sullivan from Cork, was never caught. Mike Burns, an Irish journalist who interviewed O'Sullivan in 1969, said he had told him the fact the bomb was left on a busy shopping street was fuck off. Fuck away off. We really didn't mean to kill anybody. Fuck away off with your lying bullshit. The intention was to bomb a police station, but the bicycle wheels kept getting stuck in the tram tracks, so he abandoned it and took off. Yeah, because you couldn't put it on the pavement and walk with it, you fucking dickhead. Their lies don't even make sense. He said he wasn't caught because the cops were expecting him to head straight for the ferry at Holyhead. He took the train to London, dumped his clothes, and hung around for a few days until everything had died down. And this is the scene in the street after it. Instead, two other men, Peter Barnes and James McCormick, under the name of Jimmy Richards, both from County Offaly, were convicted for the bombing and sentenced to death. Good. McCormick had bought the bag from Halfords and stored the explosives at a house in Clare Street where he lodged. Barnes brought the explosives to Coventry by train. During his trial in Birmingham, McCormick insisted that his orders were not to endanger life. Well, fuck, you didn't follow him very well, did you? I don't think that was your orders at all. I think your orders were to fucking kill and maim as many people as you could. And that's exactly what you did. But once you get caught, you fucking start with your weasel words and try to wring out of what you did. According to criminologist Steve Flodging, whose book Hanged in Birmingham covers the case, the two men were treated as martyrs in Ireland. Yes, they were. Yes, indeed they were. Following their executions, their bodies were exhumed and reburied in Ireland. Yeah. Heroes. This, my friends, is what the Irish call the work of heroes. Initially, Coventry's considerable Irish community found itself under siege. Widespread feelings against Irishmen in Coventry, and the vast majority of them entirely innocent of any sympathy for the IRA, had been aroused. I wonder why. That's a real fucking Scooby-Doo one. People in your name murder your neighbours, and you're all surprised that people don't trust you. Such as the feelings Friday's tragic incidents has kindled that many Irishmen and lodgings were faced with requests they should obtain accommodation elsewhere. Of course they were. Why the fuck would you not? And you know what? See if you have a problem with it, blame the fucking Irish. Blame your countrymen. And make them not do this bullshit. Instead of going, poor me, I'm being persecuted for no fucking reason. And I'll tell you something else. See this whole thing of the average ordinary Irishman do not support the IRA. Well, why the fuck are they in power? Why do they win elections? Because I've never heard of people with zero popular support winning elections, but consistently they do. So I'm sorry, that's bullshit. They may have very slight disagreements about how they take their action, but that's it. There were also threats of strike action if factory owners did not consent to an immediate withdrawal of Irish labour. Well, how can you go on to do in a factory not knowing whether or not it's going to blow up? Even Coventry's chief constable had to issue a denial he was Irish. A perfectly good Somerset man, he said. Well, I keep denying I'm Irish. People keep pointing it at me. And I go, no, I'm British. So, yeah, I totally agree with you, chum. But within days, the attack disappeared from the front pages of Coventry newspaper and was replaced with the ominous rise of Hitler. And by 3rd of September, Britain was at war. In 1940, most of Coventry city centre was destroyed by the ravages of the Blitz. The IRA got in there first. Even the site of the IRA explosion became unrecognisable as many of Broadgate's buildings were destroyed. And that's the niece of victim, John Arnott. Today it's even difficult to work out where the bomb went off. Interestingly, there was a bomb in High Street in Belfast, and because of the changes to the shops on either side, it's quite hard to work out exactly where that one went off to. It's almost like they're trying to fucking hide this stuff. And there is no memorial to the victims. Historian Simon Shaw, who has meticulously studied the attack, said many people do not realise there was a pre-World War II IRA campaign. We proved that out tonight. 1 second, I need to cough. Right. I get the impression a memorial may previously have been considered contentious, but with the progress that has been made in Northern Ireland, I'm sure that wouldn't apply today. Mate, it has got much, much worse. You're not allowed to bring up the shit that the Irish Republican Army have done. You're really not allowed to, because they're all saints and martyrs. And if history continues to be recorded the way it was, they will have been akin to a fucking peacekeeping force. The victims are only remembered by their families. Now, I'm a bit conscious of the time we're at. I want to do a very quick bit about the S plan. So you can see exactly what's going on. This is from Queen's University. It's also written by people who are very sympathetic to the Irish. Queen's University is in Belfast, by the way. We do have our extremely leftist universities here as well. So be advised that this is from a very pro-Irish perspective. Check this is on the screen. It is, and I think I'm going to zoom this up. Yep, that's on. Okay. The IRA's links with Nazi Germany. Recently released the MI5 files, together with unpublished memoirs by IRA's top emissary and emissary to pre-war Berlin, shed fresh light on the hitherto covert links. Fuck off, I knew about these all along. Between extreme Republicans, between the Irish Republican Army and German military intelligence. The first direct talks between the IRA and the Nazis began in 1937, when Tom Barry was the then Chief of Staff, travelled to Germany. The legendary leader of the Cork flying column was accompanied on his travels by German agent Job Hoven, while posing as a TCD student. I'm not sure what that is. Trinity College Dublin student. Hoven undertook spying work in Belfast, Dublin, and Cork, and he was a close friend of Hermann Chessman, who ran the German Academic Exchange Service in Dublin. Both men were from Aachen and had nurtured links with the IRA in the 1930s. Barry's 1937 trip to the continent was aimed at seeking German support for IRA attacks on British military installations in Northern Ireland, but at an IRA convention in April 1938, Barry's plan was rejected in favour of more grandised pro-German plans conceived by the new Chief of Staff, Seaman Russell. The 1916 veteran had long cherished a casement-style alliance with Germany. Oh, fuck. It all comes out, doesn't it? In August 1938, Russell called on old IRA comrade James O'Donovan, who since 1930 had been working as a manager at ASP headquarters in Dublin. I'm not sure what ASP is. The IRA leader's visit was to enlist his friend's help in designing a bombing campaign on English soil to be launched the following year. Russell and O'Donovan were the only two surviving members of the IRA General Headquarters staff who had opposed the Anglo-Irish Treaty in 1922. Despite being on the state payroll and having a young family, so he worked for the Irish government. O'Donovan did not hesitate to accept Russell's call to arms. In unpublished memoirs written in retirement in the 1960s, O'Donovan boasted that while Russell became responsible for personnel organising and finance, I involved the whole details of the sabotage campaign, the S plan, conducted the entire training cadre of units, was responsible for all but locally delivered intelligence, carried out small pieces of research, and in general controlled the whole explosive munitions end. O'Donovan's elder son, Donald, had misgivings about his father's decision to re-enlist in the IRA in 1939 at the age of 41. But James O'Donnell himself never expressed any regrets about his role in the English bombing campaign, which resulted in the deaths of 7 members of the public, scores of serious injuries, and the execution of 2 IRA volunteers in 1940. The yes plan kicked off with a polite formally, as might be expected from an ex-pupil of the Jesuits. Yes, we do have a religious group involved in this, but it is indeed the Jesuits. O'Donovan was born in Roscommon in 1896 and educated at Glasgow's prestigious St. Sophonola College. In mid-January 1939, the British Foreign Secretary, Lord Halifax, received an IRA letter declaring war, which began, "Your Excellency." It was a typical of Donovan to issue a deadly threat cloaked in formal terms. The ultimatum gave the British government 4 days to withdraw its troops from Northern Ireland. Oh, fuck. You have 4 days to get out or we're going to blow you up. An impossible deadline to meet. In fact, however, the S plan had nothing to do with forcing British withdrawal from the north. Oh, Adolf Hitler was fine with working with the IRA. Yeah, this thing's done by Queen's University Belfast, and it is very pro-Irish. This is probably from the Irish Studies Department, and this is them putting this all in the very, very best light. Russell saw Hitler as the only European leader capable of destroying Britain. His logic was that with England on her knees, nothing could prevent a German-backed reunification of Ireland. You'll find that there's a pattern here. Every time Britain's at war, the Irish are on the other side. World War I, yes, they're on the other side. Boer War, they're on the other side. American War of Independence, yes, the Irish turned up in America. Oh, yes, and they also fucking invaded Canada. Anywhere that Britain is at war, the Irish turn up on the other side. It's a trait. You might want to get used to it. Because I swear to fuck, with what's coming soon to England, be advised, the Irish are going to be on the other side. And they're organised. Maybe have a think about this. This was an offer the IRA leaders could not refuse, having been entrusted by Russell to reciprocate Oscar Puffett's fit. Donovan set off to Hamburg with his wife, Montre, a sister of Republican martyr Kevin Barry. So this is the other thing to look at. You have the children and grandchildren of the 1916 being involved in the S plan campaign during World War II, and you have the grandchildren of them being involved in the border campaign and then the Troubles. And it just, whenever you start to realize this, you understand that it's on a continuum. The groundbreaking IRA Aberdeen talks continued with various addresses in the city, and O'Donnell recalled that we discussed many matters of common interest. The Aberdeen team was led by the head of the Hamburg office, Frederick Karl Madwey, who used the cover name of O'Donnell recalled. I dealt with the whole IRA position as given to me by Shane Russell. I passed on in good faith what events proved to be restate a very resolute appraisal of their strength in personnel and equipment and the progress as an organisation. It was agreed that Germans could summon O'Donovan to Germany by writing to him in code. At Flissonville, the ESB managers lavish Schenkel home set in 1.5 acres of gardens. I'm not exactly sure which Schenkel they're talking about. But that would need looked into. In addition, the Germans supplied the IRA emissary with radio transmission chippers, code letters to convey important elementary messages, and a list of ABAR agents' names and addresses. But with no immediate prospect of money from Germany to sustain the bombing campaign in England, the IRA decided to send Sheen Ruffle on a fundraising trip to America, where he would liaise with Joe McGritty, the powerful leader of Clan na Gael organization. Stephen Hayes from Wexford was appointed to take over as the new chief of staff. On the 24th of April 1939, Jim O'Donovan set off to Hamburg again, arranging 10 days holiday from his ESB job. O'Donovan caught the liner New York at Cobh on Monday 24th of April 29, according to historian J. Bale. The visit was to discuss potential agents to supply of arms in the event of war, radio sets, courier communication. The only firm result was a courier route between Brussels and London using an exiled Breton. O'Donovan's memoirs disclose that Breton was Paul de Mose, who O'Donovan later met on Sunday 21st of May 1939 when he visited the Belgian capital to collect our radio codes. Meanwhile, the S plan continued unabated. In May alone, there were over 40 IRA incendiary, tear gas, and bomb attacks in 13 English towns and cities. O'Donovan's final visit to Nazi Germany occurred in late summer 39 when he met his wife and boarded the Washington in Kebab on Friday, 18th of August. The ship had sailed from New York, and it was hardly coincidence that the head of Clan na Gael, Joe McGinty, was also on board. In fact, both men were scheduled to meet senior ABOR agents in Berlin. Jim and Monty stayed at the exclusive Rushler-Hof Hotel. O'Donovan initially met two ABOR agents called Newmassinger and Sweeney, and his memoirs reveal O'Donovan saw himself as penetratory with plenary powers to negotiate with Hitler's regime on behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of Ireland. Yeah, this isn't just a couple of wingdings out in their own. This is the Irish government working with the Nazis to fight Britain in World War II. Let that sink in. We are told fuck all about this. At the city apartment, they were joined by other ABOR agents, and O'Donovan noted that the sympathy with my objectives was obvious and sincere. Later on, Newmaster sounded him out as to England's probable reactions in the event of war. For 3 hours, O'Donovan faced continual bombardment of questions from the German agents, whose faces appeared strained and flushed. I'm possibly going to skip down a little bit of this. Yeah. Okay. The outbreak of war just over a week later put paid to the 7-point Berlin Pact agreed by Jim O'Donovan and Major Medry. The Germans' arms, ammunition, and explosives were never delivered. 1 second. But money was sent via various agents. 13 German agents were sent to Ireland in 1939-1943 period. The radio link was up and running in October, and the courier service was also used. Fully working with the Germans. A year later, Sean Russell was in Belfast for talks with top members of the Nazi regime. On the 4th of August 1940, the Abwehr reported that Frank Rahn had arrived in Berlin, having been released from prison in northern Spain shortly before. Because the Irish were on both sides of the Spanish Civil War, by the way. The following day, unknown to Rahn, a conference was held by a foreign minister, Joachim von Ribbentrop, which was attended by Abwehr Chief Admiral William Carnance and his deputy Arnold von Lisbon, Edmund Filmster, blah, 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 and Shane Russell representing the Irish Republican Army. On the 7th of August, Russell and Rahn were to set sail from Wilhelmshaven on a U-boat bound for Ireland. Ireland did have a U-boat refitting and refueling pens. As a neutral country, any country is allowed to use their port, but normally we get quarantined in that port and blockaded. But if you've got a submarine, you can do that under the water. Nobody fucking knows you went in or out. But the mission was called off when Russell died aboard the vessel. Good! Fuck him! Lozen told MI5 interrogators in 1946 that Carnance contemptuously referred to Russell as the music professor. Kurt Haller told MI5 that at the Berlin meeting, Shane Russell had for the first time mentioned the potential strength of the IRA, including sympathizers, which he gave as 5,000 to 10,000 men. This figure was far below German expectations. That was far above what they would have fucking got. But that's another thing. According to Hillier, the German motive for sending Rahn to Ireland was that Russell, throughout his stay in Germany, had shown considerable reticence towards the Germans and plainly did not regard himself as a German agent. Hillier added, by sending Rahn, Abwehr felt that his own interests would be better safeguarded, as Rahn accepted more easily the position of the German agent. I think this is a little bit of bullshit, trying to say that we weren't really all Nazis, but it's fucking were. Frank Rahn remained in Germany until his death in Dresden, Sachsen in 1944, and according to MI5's, Wiesemann had already decided to use Rahn as Russell's successor in an auxiliary offensive operation against Great Britain under the Germany Plan. Rahn was to approach the Irish government and suggest that the German invasion of Britain would be an opportune moment for the seizure of Northern Ireland. German support would, he assured, but the Germans would act only after de Oliveira had committed himself. Rahn had told Weimar that the Wehr would support such a plan as this, provided he considered it a legitimate risk to take. So de Oliveira would have, the Irish president would have, along with the Germans, invaded Northern Ireland if he thought that they could win. And the only reason he didn't was because they didn't. A post-war MI5 record in August 1943, Frank Rahn is said to have been received by Hitler. But by then, Ireland was on Berlin's black burner as the year-old campaign against the USSR was founded. While the Nazis saw the IRA as useful allies, should the Wehrmacht invade Britain in 1940, the IRA saw Germany as a stepping stone to united Ireland. But did Shane Russell, Jim O'Donovan, and Frank Rahn ever stop to consider that, had their plan succeeded, the reunited country would amount to nothing more than a puppet state? Why would they fucking care? The one that they've got is currently a puppet European state, and they really don't care about that, provided it's not British. O'Donovan certainly didn't, claiming that a victorious Nazi Germany would have been very generous indeed to Ireland, which at least would become a place worth living in. So there you go. That is the IRA and the Nazis in World War II. Oh, fuck. Freedom Dad might have some issues. I like his idea, but his execution might not be brilliant. And please be advised, Mr. Paul Meekin, first off, welcome aboard. And the second one is, I will not hold your grandfather's actions against you. That's just wrong. But if you're of opinions that if your current opinions all fit in here, then we will get along fine. So there you go. Oh yeah, they pretty much did, but the Irish were on both sides of World War One as well. But they formed a one, possibly two divisions. I think it was two divisions that they formed that became part of the British Army, and that was part of the deal that divided the country in 1921. So there you go. The one thing I will say about this is, now that you understand that the Irish Republican Army had a bombing campaign against the English during World War II, see the complaints about in the 1960s, there being signs saying no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Yes, mate, I'm just getting close to wrapping up. Al, I'm about to talk about you as well. But yeah, well, I don't want Islam ruling me, but I don't want Ireland ruling me either. All right, you're getting ready to head home. I'm about to talk about you anyway. Right, so do the signs that said, given that during the war, the Irish were on the German side, and well, this is true, but does it make sense that the Irish weren't just quite trusted or wanted, given that they were busy blowing you up? I think so. I think that probably has a lot to do with it. And the complaints about their treatment totally ignores the behaviour that caused that treatment. And whenever they're ever put about what they did, you get that, look what you made us do. But let us calm down. Let us relax. First of all, Mr. Almac is in the house. Mr. Almac will be coming on the show shortly. Now, as you know, he was quite a regular guest on the end of the month streams, but fortunately, he has been incredibly busy with gigs and whatnot. And being a gig musician, I would much rather. Dude, you did just hear the whole bit about the fucking IRAS plan and the fact that you were bombing England to help the Germans during the war. I really don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck that they sent apparently 2 fucking fire engines. I really don't care. I really don't care. They only did that to try to hide the fact that they were also on the German side. And there you go. Fucking, yeah, sent up a couple of fire engines. Yeah, that's after you put on the lights to fucking lead the way up. You know, it's don't enforce your fucking blackout. Let everybody see exactly where Northern Ireland is. There's this fucking all those lights. Avoid that bit. Get the bit just above it. Go up and do the shipyard again. Why the fuck not? And you think that I'm going to be all pleased and grateful that you sent up a fucking couple of fire brigades? They did that in the same way that members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army attend the funerals of people that they murder in the borderlands. I really don't care. But there you go. And calm. Right. Anyway, Mr. Almac will be coming on the scene on the show shortly. Probably also will Mr. Paca, Mr. Sanson, if we can get everybody in at the same time, because we have been busy boys. Dude, what are you smoking? Churchill offered Ireland to De Vere. De Vere was in charge of Ireland. The border had happened the fucking previous war. I don't know how Churchill can offer fucking part of De Vere his own country. This shit might work with people that don't know their history, but unfortunately for you, I do. What's your position on the border, Mr. Paul Meakin? Or Paul McCune? What's your position on the border? What's your position on the people of Ulster, of the Ulster Scots people? What's your position on Northern Ireland remaining British? Because if you have issues with that, you have issues with everything I say. This is true. Yeah. It's fucking... Like, what you have to understand is this man has been fed a false history from his grandfather. In this house, we deal with facts and we deal with facts. Right. But anyway, Mr. Almac is going to be coming on because we have been busy boys. And we have another project coming out very, very soon. I'm going to play the first project that we produced, Harmony, Melody and Rhyme. I'm going to do a double outro. I'm going to follow that up with the Anglo-Saxon. And please be advised. Yeah, see if you don't care. See if you don't care about where the border is, you don't belong here. Because I very much care where the border is. And see all these people that say that they don't care. That is just another trick. That is a trick. That is a con. I don't care. We'll sort that out later. No, I'm sorry, mate. We cannot join forces with people who we do not trust, and we do not trust anybody who is not emphatic about where the border belongs. That's your sign-in price. That's what it costs you. You want to get along with the idea of everybody joining together, the Freedom Dad pushes. That's very fine. But you know what? Unlike Freedom Dad, I actually want assurances that you aren't going to stab us in the back. And I don't think you have any of those. But there you go. Anyway, so I'm going to play Harmony, Melody and Rhyme. Then I'm going to say hello and do the Anglo-Saxon. The next project we have coming out is much better than the Anglo-Saxon. And it's coming soon. So I look forward to presenting that, and we will get a bit of music on. Here we go, Harmony, Melody and Rhyme. And Paul, check out this video. You like this one? I'll get to the next episode.
Hello, this is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance. You are not alone. and we shall walk this journey together. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Let us gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. For from that grand house they tried to burn down, there's gold in the ashes if you look around. Let us gather together those that can perform, then from those scarred timbers build our own platform. Build our own platform. We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing for old time. Harmony, melody, and rhyme. We descended from minstrels in old days of yore. We will create a culture as we did once before, forced to stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. They have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. They have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. Forced to stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing sing harmony, melody, rhyme. Harmony, melody, and rhyme. So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. I have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. You could not kill a dream. So we will gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. You're talking the 42. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people, harmony, melody, and rhyme. We will sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people with the ancient trilogy of harmony, melody, never realized you cannot kill a dream. You cannot kill a dream. And we shall walk this journey together.
Right, hold on. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put another one up. I'm going to do Anglo-Saxon. In the meantime, between that, a quick shout out to anybody that's going to protests that are run by that coalition, the Great Province Right Protest, Freedom Dad, all of those people. Please remember this. Please. If you are at a protest and the police offer you a white line protest and tell you to go off the road, either go with the white line protest or get on the pavement. That's a fucking free one to the police. And as we all learned in 2012, failing to do so will end up with a court charge that does not get seen for 18 months to 2 years, and your bail restrictions can and will include nobody in your house having access to the internet. Please, if you are going to protest, do it properly, do it safely, and do not get yourself arrested for fuck all, right? For no reason. I know it sounds fun and clever at the time to stand on the road whenever you've been told to clear, but honestly, it doesn't end well. And approximately fucking 2,000 people found that out in the 2012 flag protests, and the people who are organising this current batch of protests obviously were involved with none of that, because they would not be going about things the way they are had they been. Anyway, public service announcement over. Let's do the Anglo-Saxon and wrap this up. Okay. Hello, you are listening to 42's letter to the Anglo-Saxons. When you spread this message, you are the resistance. The Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon shook his head sharply, his hair dislodging droplets of sweat from the back of his neck, the produce of moving a carcass to the workbench. The sharpened blades and cleavers felt natural in his hand. The carcass divided to his will. The Anglo-Saxon's muscle memory was that of a warrior. His body was lost to the toil, but his mind wandered to memories that were not his own. An intruder startled the Anglo-Saxon. However, before him was not the meadows and glades of his ancestors, but a butcher's shop window. While politely serving the customer, the Anglo-Saxon mourned the loss of a kingdom he had never known, of the rituals and customs that were lost long before his grandparents were even born. Outside, the street was a bustle. He knew there were others like him, ones who carried the warrior's pride. Amongst them he would find the rightful place of an Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxon.
It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when the time shall count from the date that the Anglo-Saxons began to hate. When time shall count from the date the Anglo-Saxons began to hate.
Game over.
Okay, everybody. I have been 42. Thank you so much for sticking around this evening. I hope you all learned something. Like I said, I've been 42. You lot in the chat have as always been fucking amazing. Thank you. Good night. God bless. See you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.